You are listening to the Knightline Sports Network, brought to you by Travis Dever and the Dever team, 386-690-1636.
Knightline is brought to you by the Dever team, your source for New Smyrna Beach real estate and everything else New Smyrna Beach. Go to www.thedeverteam.com and call UCF alumni Travis Dever for all your New Smyrna Beach needs. 386-690-1636. That's 386-690-1636.
Welcome to UCF Knightline, your source for UCF sports and former player information.
All right, hello Night Nation. This is Andrew Phegley coming to you from the 1148 studios, and this is Knightline 263 from the award-winning Knightline Sports Network. Joining me as always,
Roger Phipps, and on this week's show, BCU's band was good, but their football team was not. Cards to get plucked. Big 12, baby. It happened. Your questions and Ask Knightline. Kyle joins us inside the huddle. The Tijuana Flats hot take of the week, and news and notes.
Well, we actually have no questions from Knightline or from Ask Knightline because I forgot to put that call out. So, what a bummer. Oh well. I apologize for not doing that, but I had a lot to do today and didn't get it. So I got a lot of clips, and we'll talk about all this stuff anyway. A very big week in UCF history. Besides the football game, obviously, the football game pales in comparison.
Pales
to the rest. So, do we want to start with the football game, or do we want to start with the rest of it?
Well, I guess I'm excited for both, so either one will
I'm
work
excited
for
for
me.
both. It's not that I'm not. Those of you that listened last week, it's not that I'm not excited about this whole thing. I'm freaking giddy as all get out, but. I'm just a little apprehensive about this whole Kansas UCF thing.
Makes sense because I've seen a few more predictions for the divisions, and it's not good.
I don't know about that, though. Bowlesby did say, speaking of, I have some Bowlesby clips.
Let's just get into it.
Yeah, here's Bowlesby's talk about the divisions, actually.
It will likely vary by sport. Obviously, we have been committed to playing a full round robin. In men's and women's basketball, a full double round robin with either 12 or 14 for a period of time. We don't really have much choice but to play in divisions. We also, in the case of basketball, we play a double round robin right now, but even with 12, you can't play 24 league games, or 22 league games. So we're likely going to have some 2 plays. We'll have some 1 plays. We could even, have some no plays. We really have been focused on the macro so far, and we'll have to dig into the micro, the scheduling, and some of the detail components as we go forward. But I think it is likely that we will play divisions in at least in some sports. We also have the decision to make as to how many league games we're going to play in the sport of football, and that one is likely to be one of the early decisions.
All right, so the divisions have always been in the Big 12, North and South. So if they stick with tradition, it will still be North and South. So we would be in the South, and possibly KU would be in the North. So I would be more than happy. That would make me really happy if it was like that. We'll still have to play them, obviously, but wouldn't be a division opponent, which is really my worst nightmare. So I could see how they could do East and West now, but there's still a good division with North and South. So we shall see.
The only issue for me for that would be I actually want KU in our division because of this in basketball. And they said they do it by sport, right? Because I'd love to see and make sure that we're seeing Kansas basketball twice a year or at least a home and home and lock that in, because he said there'd be a tiered approach more than likely for that, as there is for the American currently. So I'm hoping from a basketball perspective. So let me say this. Football, I don't care. Basketball, I'd love to see Kansas basketball.
Well, Kansas football, I'm going to say, is not where it should be by any means, but it's getting better. We're way better than we were last year. So I'll just say that. Obviously, we played number 17 the other night and did not get completely blown out. So it was better than I expected.
The small wins.
That. Yeah, I mean, it is small wins at this point because
you're rebuilding a program.
Absolutely, 100%. 49-22 was not bad. We scored 22. It should have. Last year's team, this would have been a lot more. I think, in fact, they played them last year. I'd have to look up that score. But I was expecting it to be much worse. So I think that we were actually even leading at one point, which was shocking.
You were.
So, yeah, I mean, it's a complete rebuild. It's a program rebuild. It's not just a team rebuild there. They have neglected football for a long time at Kansas. And me being an alumni and a former team, player, student athlete for Kansas, it really makes me mad and saddens me that it's come to this point for, Kansas football. So, it will get better. I think we have Lance Leopold now is a good football coach. I don't know if he's great, but he's a good football coach.
Well, he was an up-and-comer there for a while. And the other part is, no matter how this goes in the future with realignment, I know that Kansas had interest in the Big Ten. So if they get their football product, they have extra impetus to get their football product up to snuff with their basketball.
Yeah, their basketball program is I think, good enough to take them anywhere they want to go. So, but the Big 12 is one of the greatest basketball leagues or conferences in the country, if not the best. So
number one in RPI the last, I think, 3 years in a row.
Yeah. So UCF has a long ways to go as far as their basketball team. Though.
Absolutely.
Kansas has a long ways to go with their football team. UCF has a long ways to go with their basketball team to compete. So, but they will. I believe both institutions will get their programs together in both of those sports. So, it's going to be exciting. I'm going to love every minute of it, but hate other minutes of it. So, it is what it is. Anyway, I'm horribly excited though for UCF. I think that this is. From the time that I started following UCF, this is what everybody talked about. This is what everybody wanted. We've talked about it, I don't know how many times on this show, of exactly this happening. And it's finally happening. It's a little surreal, to be honest with you, because we've talked about it so much, and that I hate talking about it.
Right.
It's just been one of those things that I just, until it happened, it's one thing to just talk about what if this and that and speculate on everything. I know that I'm in the wrong freaking business to not like to speculate. I like the facts, but I don't like to speculate. So I love it when facts come together. I love it when, I can play clips of the Big 12 commissioner. I can play clips of the bot meeting of the Board of Trustees. I can play clips of Terry Mahajer talking about, going to the Big 12, and all this has totally come to fruition. So it's exciting. Speaking of clips from the bot meeting, if you haven't heard this, the Board of Trustees meeting, I have that clip of them actually making the vote. This is how the vote went down, and I just thought maybe some people hadn't heard it, so here it is.
All those in favor of accepting the invitation to join the Big 12 Conference and to delegate President Alexander Cartwright the authority to negotiate and agree to terms of admission to the Big 12, as well as terms of exit from the American Athletic Conference in consultation with the Chair of the Board of Trustees, please signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign. Knight Nation, welcome to the Big 12. Motion passes unanimously. Congratulations.
Woo!
Great job, everyone.
Great job.
It is amazing what can be done over Zoom. these days, because that was a defining moment in UCF sports history and the history of the Big 12 as well. So it still gives me goosebumps, brings a couple tears as well. It's a big deal. It is the biggest deal. It pushes UCF to a different realm, a completely different realm.
It's completely transformational.
I was out there Friday night at the stadium and was able to look up into the stadium. I was in the softball lot because we were getting the RV parked out there for Saturday morning, and drove past and saw the Big 12 logo up on the board. That was pretty much all that was UCF's logo and the Big 12 logo, which was freaking awesome. In the middle of the night, late at night on Friday night, it was up there. So awesome.
Yeah, my moment was, for those of you that don't know, I sit in the cabana, so my daughter and my mom and I were actually, it was their first games. My daughter, as I've mentioned before on the show, is going to be joining me now. I've always had my son with me since he was 10. She just turned 10, so now she's coming. So we were walking up the cabana steps into the second level, and for those of you that haven't been in there, forgive me, but there's that deck area where you can stand and see on the 50-yard line and see the
cabana,
the side, the other side, right, and see the 2017 national champions on there. But as I walked up the middle stairs into the second tier, there was a Big 12 balloon arrangement. It had the 12 in black and gold balloons. And I just remember, I was walking up the stairs, I saw that, I didn't know it was going to be there. And then in the background was the tower where it said 2017 national championships behind it. And I just stopped for a second, and I looked at that, and I thought, we've made it. And that, after all of this, talk about it and everything that was going on, there was all this excitement waiting for this meeting to happen and it to be official, because as UCF fans, we're always waiting for the other shoe to drop. And just standing there for a moment and just seeing that was my moment. So it was really, really surreal, and it was great. It's kind of weird because now I'm looking up at the scoreboard during the game, and I'm like, oh, Texas Tech's playing. What's the score? Whereas before, I wouldn't have cared. So, it's I'm already mentally beginning that transition to our new conference versus, the American, which is kind of crazy to say.
Yeah, and if you followed social media, the Big 12 completely validated our national championship, by the way.
Yep.
So that will be in the Big 12 record book at some point as well. Because they officially, put it on Twitter. We have a national champion, another national champion. They listed their national championships. And even though it happened in the American, it'll still transfer over to, the list of national championships in the Big 12. So I love it. It's good. They needed to do that. And I thought that was important that they did that. Bowlesby, I'm impressed. I've known about him and listened to him for a long time. He's definitely got his stuff together a lot more than Oresco does. I think I woke up Friday morning to an email from the American and Mike Oresco's statement, and it was, obviously he's, the American's probably a little upset with all this happening. I was going to try to find it and maybe read it. It's so far back. It's Friday. Statement from the American Conference. Today's news confirms that what we've said all along regarding our status as a power conference. The irony that 3 of our schools are being asked to take the place of 2 marquee schools which are leaving the Big 12 is not lost on us. Our conference was targeted for exceeding expectations in a system that wasn't designed to accommodate our success. All 3 of these institutions have enjoyed unprecedented success as members of the American, as have our remaining schools. Many of our schools have achieved competitive success similar to the departing schools. We have every expectation that the 3 departing schools will abide by the conference bylaws to ensure amicable and orderly transition. We wish them continued success in the future. Our remaining schools are unwavering in their commitment to competing and succeeding at the highest level, and we will not allow external factors to put a ceiling on our potential. We remain unified and resolute, and will consider all of our options as we move the American into our second decade and beyond.
Well,
that's Mike Oresco for you.
I will say this. I mean, there's not much he can say other than he's right. I mean, as far as we've been screaming about it for a while. He hasn't been as vocal as we wanted him to be, which is why he's earned the name Milk Carton from us. But that being said, he's right in the sense that the three of us that are leaving, as well as some of the other schools, we definitely punched above our weight class in the governance structure, right? So with the three of us, I think it was a quote-unquote Big East level power conference. But unfortunately, he's losing those three. So he's going to have to bring up some brands, investment brands from who's left over. And he said they're going to work judiciously to do that. In fact, he talked a little bit to Mike Bianchi, and if you read today's paper from the Sentinel, he finally said that we should have been in the playoff in 2017, and that we were not lauded enough for our accomplishments and all of that.
Of course, now he's going to say that.
Exactly.
And I'm sure they'll be touting our national championship for a long time as well. So,
exactly.
He did make another statement later on in the day, and I can't find that one. It was just saying that they expect the teams to try to get out early, basically, and they'll do whatever it takes or whatever they'll negotiate or whatever. So I think that we will be trying to get out. The date was supposed to be July 1st, 2014. Wow.
That would have been nice.
2024. But I think it's going to come a little bit earlier than that. It's going to at least be 2023. I would not be shocked. If it's earlier than that, which means possibly next year.
Well, there were definitely some rumors going around about that. I will say, Bowlesby played the right card and said 2024, but the application for the Big 12 was released, and the date listed in there was July 1st, 2023. And then Terry Mohajir, when asked about it at the post vote press conference, did say that we're going to be flexible, and they're completely open about the date that we're going to leave. So I think there's obviously still some negotiation to be had, but I think 2023 is the one everybody agreed to. BYU's already agreed to that and has been out there and said that. And I think the Big 12 and Bowlesby would definitely want us all to come in at the same time.
Well, I've got a clip with Bowlesby talking about the timeline. So let's play that one real quick, but then I want to go back to his welcome message.
In the case of BYU, they will be coming in on July 1st, 2023. And in the case of UCF and Cincinnati and Houston, they will be coming in not later than July 1st of 2024. So there is some flexibility in the first competition, but at the present time, we don't know the exact starting date for 3 of the 4.
All right. Well, Larry said it. At the present time, we don't know the exact starting date. So I think he's expecting some of the others to try to come in early as well. But then I want to get back to, though, we kind of skipped ahead of where I wanted to go, but I did it myself, so it's fine. Here's what Bowlesby said as the welcome message, basically.
We are very proud to have Central Florida joining the Big 12. You will make an immediate and long-lasting impact on the Big 12 conference. You'll do it by the way you conduct yourselves. You'll do it by the way you compete. You'll do it by the shared privileges that we all have of shared academic credentials and shared academic accomplishments. And I couldn't be any more excited to have your university joining the Big 12 conference. And the first day of competition for the Knights can't get here soon enough. So thank you very much for your consideration. Thank you very much for the manner in which you've gone about this process. And I look forward with all appropriate enthusiasm to a long and successful relationship. So Thanks very much.
I know some of you are going to be upset that he referred to us as Central Florida. I know. I was I kind of, at the time, but whatever. It is what it is. Technically, it's the University of Central Florida. Technically. But all of us obviously love to be referred to as UCF.
Absolutely.
But it is the name. So I understand. And he was trying to be proper. One of the things that I really liked that he said in there, he spoke about academics. And that's a big deal in the Big 12. Big academic institutions, not as big as some other of the conferences, but adding UCF to that, a research university and everything else, it's a big deal. It's the largest university. We all know this, but I'm saying it more speaking to them because I think that there's going to be more of them tuning into these shows now. I know there's going to be. So, I don't think a lot of the Big 12 fans or even some of the schools may not even know that UCF is the largest university by enrollment in the entire country. And I've tried to, I know a lot of us have been on Twitter trying to talk to fans of the other schools and explaining all this to them. So, but I like the fact that he talked about the academic accolades of the Big 12 and the shared academic credentials as well. So,
and I think it'll be a boon. I mean, we talked about this, I don't know, a few shows ago. It'll be a boon for the Big 12 as well because Cincinnati ranks pretty high. We actually rank middle of the pack as far as academic ranking on U.S. News and World and all that other stuff. So it's a mutually beneficial relationship when it comes to that. I think it's great that we continue with our relationship with Cincinnati, but Kansas, we've talked about that from an endowment and from a reputation perspective. The more relationships and the closer associations you have with schools like that are ranked higher, the better.
Absolutely, 100%. I mean, and I don't mean to interrupt, but there's benefits that come to the academic part of everything, even with the sports being involved. I mean, there's all kinds of benefits that come, to the actual university besides the sports. So I don't know if a lot of people understand all that, what, other benefits there are.
Well, there's research partnerships, right? And then on top of that, just, the co-branding opportunities. So when you're working with other school presidents, as a school president, they can open up doors for you with other, research opportunities that are out there. So, but believe it or not, anybody who's worked for or with or knows the government, a lot of the research grants that are assigned is who you know and what kind of reputation you have. So that will be beneficial for us.
We've talked about that endowment, and that endowment will go up.
Yeah,
definitely. Will start to go up because of things like this. So one of the questions that Bowlesby was asked about was autonomy. And this was, one of the big things. We had talked a little bit about that, but then he talks about it as well here. So let's hear him talk about that real quick.
The autonomy designation is a largely misunderstood designation. It really only applies to our position in the governance system of the NCAA. Really doesn't have anything to do with the college football playoff or with any sort of subdivisional component. It has to do with what weighted voting we have, and I have every confidence that we will continue to enjoy the status we've had before. We've added both numerically and we've added with high quality. And I don't, there's an organization, Mike, that's doing, looking at the NCAA Constitution. And I suppose it's possible that the autonomy designation would go away for everybody. But I don't really think that's going to happen. In fact, if anything, I think we're probably moving in the direction of the 5 autonomy conferences having more to say about how the rules are constructed and managed rather than less. And I expect that we'll be a part of that.
Well, there you go. He's a confident guy. He always has been. He's, I think he really put his money where his mouth is on this one. On this grab of the American teams plus BYU. I think that they did an amazing job, especially as fast as they got it done. Terry Mahajer did allude to this has been going on long before we started hearing about it. And we heard certain things, and there had been certain things reported, but not everything. So Terry Mahajer, I think, got us positioned very well from the second that he stepped on campus, I believe. I think that he said within the first few weeks he was already reaching out to conferences. And that means conferences plural, not just one. Nope, not just the Big 12. It just happened to be that the Big 12 lost, Texas and Oklahoma. All the cards fell completely in the correct order for this to happen. Like, it does not happen very often, and that's why it was all such a big shock that even those two were leaving, So this doesn't happen, but it did. So it's amazing that it actually happened the way that it did. So that's all that I have with Bowlesby. But one of the big questions was, and we talked about it last week, I think, where the Big 12 does not have men's soccer. Mm-hmm. There are teams in the Big 12 that have men's soccer teams, but they do not play as part of the Big 12. West Virginia, I believe, is one of them, and they're starting to play next year, I believe, in Conference USA. So somebody asked Terry Mahajer about that, and here's what he had to say about it.
Well, Scott Calabrese, I don't know if he's in the room today. Well, I've already had a conversation with him, and we'll work on that immediately after the announcements. We talked to him. He was one of the first coaches that I pulled into the office, or I guess I went to his office to talk to him about it. He is 150% supportive of this move, even though he knows that it might present a little challenges for him with conference affiliation. I'm hoping that the American will allow us to stay. They only have 6 members right now in their conference. But I, with the success that he's had and his reputation and his leadership in the soccer community, I think we'll have a lot of options in my mind.
Okay, well, there you go. Could be the American, could be Conference USA, could be, who knows? But obviously that's one of the things that is Terry Mahajer's job, and he will be working on that. So wherever, he will find a spot for men's soccer, because we have one of the top men's soccer teams, programs in the nation. So, and I think all the other conferences know that. So one of them will step up and invite us to play there. So who knows where that will be. Do we want to start? What else do we have to talk about this? I'm sure there's a lot more, but it's those are the clips that I pulled because I thought that those were the ones that were super important.
Well, I certainly got some thoughts around feedback from you and your take on a couple of things that I'm interested in hearing about. First of all, when we're talking about this, how does this affect recruiting? I know it will have a net gain, right, for recruiting. It gives us the ability, and we know Gus has been talking about the expanded playoffs and being able to be a part of that and selling that. But now, now we're part of a Power 5 conference, right? And now I don't feel dirty saying that because we're part of it. You've been recruited, I've been recruited, but for you, in your experience, if you were a high school kid now out there, understanding what the dynamics of college football are, what would be the difference between not having that label and having that label for you when choosing a school?
Well, for me, it was just I wanted to go to the school that I grew up around. That was really I had other opportunities, but I had a better opportunity from, the school that I went to at Kansas. I was a preferred walk-on, but I had plenty of recruiting calls and visits and everything else. Just because you're a preferred walk-on doesn't mean that you weren't recruited by anyone. You just chose to go after something that didn't offer you a full scholarship at the time. So, I mean, I think that we've pulled obviously some people already at UCF from, people that were going to commit to a Power 5 school. Mm-hmm. So it's not that it's never been done and all that. It happens all the time. But I think now, obviously, the recruits look at UCF in a whole nother light. The college football playoff invitational thing was one thing. To expand that, this is a whole nother thing, though. Because now it's not only you have the chance to be in that playoff, but now you have a chance to compete against the top teams, all the time. I mean, we're not going to see Bethune-Cookmans very much anymore. We're not going to see FAU and FIU very much anymore. We're going to see on a regular basis, the Oklahoma States, the Kansas States, the Iowa States, teams like that, and from other conferences as well. I mean, there's scheduling between the Big 12 and other conferences. So you're going to see on a weekly basis, we're going to play a Power 5 schedule. That's a big deal. The level of competition goes up. It does. I mean, people say, oh, you don't play anybody. Well, now we're playing people. We're going to be playing people. You know what I'm saying? They're not going to be able to say that anymore. And that makes a big difference, I think, especially with recruits. Recruits want to play against the best that they can play against. So, I think that it has easier ranking abilities, because of strength of schedule, because we've dealt with that for years, That's not going to be a problem anymore. There's a lot of things that will just not be a problem anymore, and I don't see why it wouldn't be even more. I mean, we should be able to out-recruit most of those other schools.
Well, I think two things I'll add to that. I think from a scheduling perspective, our world just got a lot easier. One of the big knocks on us for scheduling us is you don't get the cachet of a Power 5 what do they call it? A quality loss.
Right.
So now, and it's stupid, but the reality is that's the way the game is played.
Right.
And that will open up scheduling opportunities for us going forward. And not just from a recruiting perspective, but otherwise that helps. From a recruiting perspective, what I'm thinking about is, yes, we win battles with Georgia Tech. Yes, we win battles with Miami occasionally. Yes, we win battles with insert lower level P5 team now. But the Brock Purdy's of the world are not going to Iowa State anymore and flipping their commitments. Right? That's what I'm looking for. It's not necessarily, do I think we already get high-level 3 stars, low-level 4 stars as it is, and our recruiting is around the 50s typically, right? Which is, I mean, if there's 69 now Power 5 teams, we're already recruiting as a low-level Power 5. Now's the opportunity for us to move that.
And with Gus Malzahn, I'm telling you right now, I'm just so used to saying that now. All of these 5-star and 4-star guys that we really never had an opportunity to get, we're going to get those guys. We're going to get them. It's going to be way easier. You're going to see way more of them. I'm not saying our whole entire, recruiting class is going to be 4- and 5-star players, because you're still going to get the 3-star players. But there's going to be some of them. There are definitely going to be some of them. Way easier. In the G5, there's been one player that has ever been a 5-star player that has ever committed to a G5 school. One.
Ed Oliver.
We're not there anymore, though. So it's going to be way easier. And Gus Malzahn knows kids. Gus Malzahn is on the minds of kids still, especially now. And you're seeing even what he's doing with UCF at this point, this year. Kids know and understand what's going on here.
Well, And he's done a lot of foundational work around that, right?
Absolutely.
So
and he's going to continue to do it.
Exactly.
And more.
You see, it was a big recruiting day on campus this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
There were a lot of 4-star kids and a couple 5-stars that were actually on campus this weekend to watch our game. And these are 22, 23, 24 kids in some aspects. So, those are the kids that are going to be able to enjoy the fruits of moving up to another conference and slapping that 12 on their chest. And he's already setting that foundation for us. And now that he's getting this, it's not just the cachet that he had from coming from Auburn and people respecting him within the college football community. But now you've got someone, if we win this year, now imagine this. We go through, we win the championship, we play at another New Year's Six, and then we win. Now, those are big ifs right now, right? I'm saying that. But even if we are in the championship game and win the championship on the way out the door, how huge that's going to be to help springboard that recruiting class along with the news of the Big 12 and everything else.
Absolutely. Huge for recruiting. So, and not just football, but
basketball
all
too.
The sports, all of our sports will be elevated by this. Big 12 is big for softball.
Yeah,
being one of them, and we will go in there and compete immediately in softball. And I think most of our sports. I think our basketball has some growing to do, but I said a while back ago that it would take us a couple of years for football. I don't think that I've changed my mind on that. I don't think that it will take us. It'll take us a couple of years to get to the elite level, I believe, in the Big 12. But I think we'll definitely do very well against those teams. We need to literally have some size, though. I think size is going to be one of the bigger battles.
And that helps with offensive linemen because
Exactly.
they're the hardest ones to find and get committed because there's so few of them out there. So that P5 label, and I've said this numerous times, you have too, the game's won in the trenches.
Yep.
And so I think that'll be the biggest impact for me. I mean, skilled players we could get already because there's just so many of them and we're in Florida. But getting those linemen, I think that's really where it makes a huge difference for us.
Huge. Yeah. I think that maybe even if we do wait till 2024, maybe there could be some scheduling stuff though happen already. We need to play some of these teams. I wish we had a Big 12 team, any of them, on our schedule this year. It would be a little bit of a test. You know what I'm saying? Just to see. Because we don't, unfortunately. We have ACC and that's about it. So, yeah, I mean.
So who do you think will win? I heard an interesting question be posed. Who do you think will win the first conference championship out of the new teams coming in?
I hope us. I mean, I wouldn't hope for anybody else to win. I mean, Cincinnati's on a pretty good roll at this point. But we'll see. We'll see when we play them this year what happens with that.
Yeah.
I mean, you never know. They could have had their 2 years of
Well, when they beat us, I mean, it was both times they had good bounces of the ball, so to speak.
And a missed field goal.
Exactly.
For them to beat us last year.
Exactly.
So, yeah, I mean, we're right there. I mean, it's not like we're behind them in any way. They do pretty well with recruiting, though, and they've done pretty well, and they're the rest of these teams are gonna do better with recruiting as well. So
it just is going to depend.
We're not going to be the only ones.
Yeah, for Cincinnati, I think the biggest thing that's going to depend on is whether Luke Fickell stays or not, because he's built that program. If he goes away,
absolutely.
I'm not sure that they can plug somebody else in and do that. And they've experienced that in the past in the Big East days where they've had a good program running and then all of a sudden they get Tubervilled. So, you know what I mean? It's a possibility there.
They could get fickled.
They could get fickle. Wow. We could go so many different directions with this one. But they're going to get effed, right?
They got fickled. That's awesome. I like that.
So, that's an interesting thing. Another thing, people are getting caught
Spit it out.
Well, people are getting caught up in this whole, well, what if it changes again and more realignment happens? Folks, no matter what happens, we're in a Power 5. I think more than likely it's going to stay one. But even if other people come in, we're building our brand for the next step, whether people leave or not. We are still, UCF, you better be darn sure that they're still positioning themselves for the next step, whether that be B1, Big Ten, SEC, ACC.
Right. Well, okay, so I got to go back as well because I said that I still am a little bit worried about the Big 12's, I can't remember what the word I used.
Stability.
Stability, yes, that was the word. Thank you. I'm tired. The stability of the Big 12. I was a little bit worried about that. But just like I was worried when Malzahn first got the head coach job, but after the press conference, I felt a lot better about it.
Do you remember that first night? We were live when it was breaking, and I was like, oh, my God.
I don't know. But then after the press conference, it changed all of our minds. Bowlesby made me feel pretty good the other day. And just this entire thing, the way that it is playing out, the way that it played out, especially with they didn't mess around. I was expecting the Big 12 to take a year or something to do this. If they would have taken a year to do this, I would have been really worried. But when they did this so quickly and they knew what they wanted, they knew before we knew what they wanted. You know what I'm saying? That makes me feel a lot better.
Well, they had to. I mean,
and then they also say that he says that this may not be it. There may be more moves. You know, so who knows who they
I still think, look, here's two things to consider. One, 2023, they start negotiating with the new TV partners on the new contract. So they need to bring everybody in by 2023 so that they can say, this is what we're negotiating off of, right? Number one. Number two, the Pac-12 is getting ready to negotiate their agreement around the same time. Now, there was a news article in the Star-Telegram that came out that they were hot and heavy with TCU during this whole process, right? Here's what's going to happen, in my opinion. The Pac-12 has sucked for a long time. They have a couple of name brands. Oregon did really well today. They beat Ohio State, right, which was good for them. But everybody else around them is not that good.
Yeah.
They're not consistently good as programs. Like Arizona State, I think, is having a good season this season. USC is not what it should be. UCLA had a good win week one. But again, traditionally, it's been down. So I think what's going to happen over the next couple of years is they're going to compete, right, for who's the next alpha dog behind everybody else. And I think that with the football pedigree that's been brought in, I think Bowlesby feels they can outperform the Pac-12 and get more dollars that are going to be laying around out there, because the Pac-12 right now, their network is in shambles. They did it on their own, so they're going to bring their network in and they're going to shop that to ESPN and Fox. If we can prove that we've got the better product in between, I think we take that lion's share of money and the Pac-12 is relegated.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I would definitely think we would poach. The Big 12 would poach from the Pac-12 before the Pac-12 would poach from the Big 12, for sure.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I think that one, if any of them dropping out of the Power 5 and it becoming the Power 4, I would think that it would be them versus the Big 12 at this point. So I feel a lot better about it.
Good.
It's still, this Kansas thing bothers me, but
the only thing that I have really left on this, actually I had two things. One, do you think Danny celebrated, and how much credit does he get?
I'm sure he celebrated, and he'd be stupid not to celebrate, to be honest with you. I think he gets a little bit of the credit. I mean, I don't know what was going on behind closed doors with him and what he was, where he was trying to get us and whatever, the posturing that he was doing. I don't know that. So I would assume that he was trying to do something. like this. Maybe he laid the groundwork for it. We don't know.
I think he did for the brand for sure.
Definitely for the brand.
And I know he and Bowlesby didn't get along too well. He was He was mad because he did the Dog and Pony Show in 2016.
Right.
And he threw some barbs at him, and those two didn't get along. So from a timing perspective that you were talking about earlier, I think Danny's exit and Gus and TMO's entrance into UCF at this time was about darn near perfect as you could possibly get.
You know who I do think helped us?
Who?
Johnny Dawkins. I think Johnny Dawkins helped us.
Yeah, because he has a relationship with
Bowlesby and him were both at Stanford together.
Yeah.
So that helped us. I have no doubt that helped us because he called him out in the thing and said, basically, Johnny, you better get your basketball team ready to go. And they had talked and all kinds of stuff. So I think that did help. Of course, Danny White helped. Danny White was the guy that said national champions. I got it right here. I think I still have it. Where is it? Right here.
National champs. Undefeated.
He said that. And that brought UCF to the eyes of millions of people that had never even heard of UCF.
The Fiesta Bowl started it, but that really,
Yes, it did. But this was a whole nother level.
Well, yeah, and it made us the
Fiesta Bowl definitely helped it. Yes,
it was the challenger brand, so to speak, and we became the 2000s Miami, and I talked about this ad nauseum. I wanted us to be right, and being that challenger brand and constantly being picked at by everybody else, and this is where the fandom comes in. The Florida AD Strickland, he had another piece in with Mike Bianchi today, and when he was asked about all this stuff, he said, "Well, maybe they'll go easy on me now," meaning the Twitter mafia, right?
Right.
So, talking and interacting with the media. The
Twitter mafia does not go easy on anyone, by the way.
No, that's 100% sure.
Anyone.
But at the end of the day, the point is it gave that ammunition, started that conversation, and then the fan base continued it, right? And it never went away. And then the team reinforced it by going back in 2018 and then continuing on success, right? And then with names like Malzahn coming into our solar system and all that other stuff, it was building and building and building. I think Danny started all of that with that comment. I mean, that's what really got us to that next level. Not just a cute story, but that next level.
Right. And I want to say this before I forget. This has nothing to do with what we're talking about, by the way, because I was looking at something else online. Mike Hughes plays for the Kansas City Chiefs now and had an awesome pick to steal the win for the Kansas City Chiefs of Baker Mayfield. So that's awesome. That's one of our guys, and he plays for my Chiefs now. And he, I was so excited to have him on our team and for him to be healthy, especially because those of us that have watched him throughout his short NFL career, he has not been healthy, but he is now, and he's playing, and he just did great things for my Chiefs.
Great job, Mike.
Absolutely. All right. I hated to interrupt with that, but I wanted to say that because I was going to forget at some point.
No worries. And then the last thing I have on this is there's some rumors circulating around that ESPN is kind of keeping this a little more muted with intention. What are your thoughts on that? Nothing on game day really, except a couple of mentions. I mean, there's been some ESPN articles, but no real conversation from ESPN about this news, and it's pretty big news for the college football world.
I watched the other teams. I watched a couple of the Big 12 teams this weekend, and I watched the BYU game. They were talking about it on there last night. What did you expect them to do? Like have commercials or
but
special?
No. But we do have a special now, actually.
We do, but and that's going to be on there, and it's going to be huge on there. I guarantee they're going to talk about it on there. It'd be stupid if they didn't.
Yeah,
because that was our week. They may not. They may just stick to the football team and all. I mean, they may just stick to it, but I think it'd be dumb if they didn't talk about it. Because that was what was happening.
That makes sense, too.
During the week.
Yeah.
but every game and stuff like that, Big 12 or one of the teams from the American that played this week, they definitely talked about it.
So
but
much to do about nothing.
maybe not on game day. I didn't watch game day this week, but I mean, I don't know what there is to say about it until it's really set in stone and like it's going to happen. We know it's going to happen, but I think you're going to get a lot more talk about it when it starts happening.
Gotcha.
So it may be a little while before they really start talking about it. And there's, ESPN and the Big 12 have an interesting
relationship right
because half of it's split with Fox Sports. So I'm kind of bummed about that, to be honest with you.
And the legal shenanigans that have been going back and forth, too.
Yeah. So we'll see. I'm sure that it's going to be the highest bidder. It may not be ESPN. Maybe Fox Sports will kick in the money for the contract. I hope not. I personally hope it's ESPN and not Fox Sports, because ESPN has a heck of an app. And a heck of a plus channel that I absolutely freaking love.
Well, and they own the big brands, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, we'll see. I've never really understood their relationship with ESPN and Fox.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't get it, but whatever. So,
well, congratulations, Knight Nation. We've made it. I'm happy. Andrew is terribly and horribly excited at the same time.
I'm excited. I'm not a guy that gets horribly excited about a lot of things, but I'm excited about this for sure. Yeah, I should. He's like motioning.
I'll be excited.
A lot of excitement.
I'm excited. Everyone's excited.
I mean, I was excited. I know my team was excited too.
I'm excited about it.
Yeah, most definitely. I'm very excited.
You're just excited to get back out there.
I think everybody's excited.
There you go. Even Josh Heupel's excited. You know what? I've got another one of these things, and this is what I heard. This is a weird deal, but I got this thing sent to me, and this is the Josh Heupel sideline, the Tennessee sideline the other day when they were playing against, I don't know even who they were playing against, but this is what it sounded like. It's amazing. Like, that is, I mean, thank you for who sent that to me. It was amazing that we got that sideline audio from the game. It's amazing,
dude.
That was what they were saying. I mean, geez. Like, what can you say about that?
I think if you did that with the fans of the stands, they'd be saying the same thing along with some expletives.
Some crowd noise behind it. I need crowd noise behind that. You'll hear that more than once, I'm sure. You've probably heard it already. I don't know if I've ever played that or not, but
you haven't.
I probably have. I've had it that was a few years ago.
Okay.
It's just. Yeah, I'm not going to tell the story again of the thing, because I say it all the time now, and I don't care. I don't care what you think about me saying either. It's a thing. I mean, people say it all the time.
It's a thing.
It's like even
this is like an episode of Seinfeld. It's a thing.
Well, on national TV, like the guys that get up there, I mean, it's just.
It's hard not to do.
It is. It's really hard. It's part of the English language now. So I used to deplore it. Now I don't as much. So whatever.
All right. So congratulations, Knight Nation, on your Big 12 invite. We all celebrate that together. So,
and I put out a thing on Facebook, or not Facebook, on Twitter the other day with the Knightline account, and I said, this is just as big of a thing, Knight Nation, the fans and everybody else were just as big of a part of this as anybody else. So
exactly,
the fans definitely got our all
right, Josh.
allowed the voices to be heard. We're a huge voice, and I'm proudly a member of that. So yeah, all right, let's take a break, because wow. We're at 54 minutes already.
It's exciting.
All right. It is. It's really exciting. All right. We'll be back after this.
Hey, this is Travis Dever, Kai's Real Estate, the Dever team, New Smyrna Beach. Your source for real estate and everything else New Smyrna Beach. Proud sponsor of Knightline. Call me anytime at 386-690-1636. That's 386-690-1636. Let me show you my hometown, New Smyrna Beach, UCF's favorite beach. Go Knights and charge on.
An auto accident can change your life forever. At Chad Barr Law, we are raising the bar on what to expect from your personal injury attorney. Hi, I'm Chad Barr, and I want you to know that our entire team is dedicated to providing you with the representation you deserve in your greatest time of need. If you or a loved one have been injured in an auto accident, call 407-599-9036 for a free consultation or visit chadbarlaw.com. At Chad Barr Law, our clients come to us in need and leave as family. Offices, Altamont Springs.
Looking for more out of your Porsche? Look no further than Flat6Motorsports.com. They have the widest selection of aftermarket Porsche parts anywhere in the world. With over 85 product lines and in-depth expertise, Flat6Motorsports.com is your one-stop shop for any Porsche performance needs. Whether you're shopping for intakes, exhausts, suspension, or tuning, they have you covered. Flat6Motorsports.com is the premier Porsche aftermarket specialist. Check them out at Flat6Motorsports.com. Alrighty, I guess we should probably talk about the football game.
What football game?
The Bethune-Cookman game where we won handily. I will say that. What was it? 63
to 14.
14.
As we should have, by the way.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Lots of things. I love, I don't know why, but I haven't really looked at these UCF post-game notes over the years, and now they're a lot better than they used to be. I don't know what they've done. But just keeping up on these records and stuff is cool. UCF has now scored at least one rushing touchdown and one passing touchdown in 51 consecutive games, streak that leads the nation. The Knights scored 50 or more points for the 16th time in the last 50 games. Dylan Gabriel now has thrown a pass in 25 consecutive games, passing Mackenzie Milton for the longest streak in UCF history.
Wow, I didn't even realize that.
Yep, and it was Gabriel's 21st career game with multiple touchdown passes. Gabriel is now responsible for 74 career touchdowns, passing Blake Bortles for 5th all-time. Blake Bortles going into the UCF Hall of Fame, by the way.
As he should.
Gabriel probably just
cemented his
place in the UCF Hall of Fame, hopefully, and I think Mackenzie will probably get there at some point too. Speaking of Mackenzie, real quick, he's playing again.
Yep,
he played the entire game. Didn't just come in the fourth quarter this time. Played the entire game. They got beat badly, in a way, badly. Not by score badly, but they got beat on the field pretty bad. Mackenzie did a good job, though. Not horrible at all for his second game back in, 3 years? More, maybe? I don't even remember anymore. But Mike Norvell is not the answer for Florida State. I can tell you that
at all.
now. At all. So he is. That was purely coaching. Especially the defensive coordinator should be fired after that. I'm surprised, honestly, that they didn't just get rid of Mike Norvell after that. If I was in charge there at Florida State, Mike Norvell would probably already be fired. I'm shocked that he's
that program is spiraling. I mean, they went from having a bowl streak, I think it was something like 25 years or something like that, or 30 years that they had a bowl streak, going to Taggart, who
and
screwed
now
that up.
They're 0-2 and they're getting beat by Jacksonville State.
Exactly.
I mean,
that should not. Hey, listen. Everything aside, I'm not a Florida State fan.
I'm not either. I'm a Mackenzie Milton
fan. Yeah, his coach let him down for sure.
Yeah, his coaches really let him down. Let a lot of people down. Okay. What else here is a big one? Isaiah Bowser rushed for 4 touchdowns in the game, matching UCF career rushing record for touchdowns in a game. Alex Haynes, Kevin Smith twice, and Darryl Mack are the only other people that have done that. It was the 3rd time in his career where he scored touchdowns in back-to-back games, and the 3rd time he's had multiple scores in a game. Ryan O'Keefe led the Knights with a career-high 8 receptions for 110 yards, marking the second time in his career that he's gone over 100 yards receiving, so that's a big deal. Trillion Coles saw his first action since 2019 because of the Achilles injury a while back ago. Both his first career rushing touchdown and first career rushing receiving touchdown, both he had in the game the other night, and totaled a career high 78 yards on the ground. He actually was the rushing leader in the short time that he was in there against, Bethune-Cookman. But anyway, we saw Mikey Keene, we saw Mark Anthony Richards, we saw Joey Gatewood, all kinds of stuff. So this game was pretty cool.
This is what these games should be, Josh Heupel.
We should be ahead by that much where you can put your third stringers in.
And actually
fourth
let them
stringers.
play.
Everybody.
Yes.
Everybody
4
got in on
quarterbacks.
this game. Yeah. Well, and we were talking, I think, with Kyle Israel, which we still have to come up here. When was the last time that we saw 4 quarterbacks in a game? And I believe it was in the last season of George O'Leary, because we saw, what was that guy's name?
Started with a T.
Man, I can't remember, but there was 2 younger guys. It was Holman, Nick Patty, and the 2 younger guys. We saw all of them, I believe, in that game.
We did.
There was
Tyler something.
Tyler, whatever his name was.
And then he promptly transferred.
And then the other guy with the hair. Oh, who was that guy? Remember the guy
hair.
with the bushy hair? It was like flowing bushy hair. He was big. Big quarterback.
Oh, and he transferred to blonde kid, right?
Yeah, he transferred like 5 times after that.
Yeah.
Probably still playing.
There's a reason we forgot them along
with
that
season. He's like 25 and he's still playing.
Still playing, yeah.
Tyler, what was that guy's name? I'll have to go back and look at some point. Jeez. What? We forget.
Well, yeah.
Overall.
I mean, who wouldn't want to forget 2015?
Well, because they were playing those guys like one of them would do one play and the other. Tyler, I don't remember. And I can't remember the other guy's
Tyler
name.
Harris?
Tyler Harris, and Bo. What was Bo's last name? Bo Stevens or Bo.
That sounds about right. I was thinking Bo Nix first, but that's the other quarterback.
No, I'm gonna have to Google this at some point.
Bo didn't know. Let's just put it that way.
Bo did not know at all.
He left very quickly.
It was not Bo Jackson, but Bo Schneider.
Bo Schneider.
It was Bo Schneider.
Who was a great kid, by the way. I met him a few times.
We had him on here.
Yep,
I knew
great
his
kid.
Dad and but he literally transferred to like 5 different programs after us. I know he went to Pittsburgh. And then he went to Texas A&M, and he's probably still playing because he's transferred and taken so many seasons off. He's probably 28 and still playing
with a PhD, just like Riley Ferguson.
Yeah. He's probably playing at like a community college or something now.
Well, I hope not.
I don't.
Poor guy.
Who knows?
He was a good kid, though.
I
really liked
Bo
him.
Schneider. He was a nice guy, just not a very good quarterback.
All right, so going back to the BCU game.
Well, before that, yes, we can do that.
So
this is going to be a long show.
Yeah.
Again.
Well, yeah. So a couple things.
We still have Kyle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So a couple things. 38,000 fans filled the Bounce House, just shy of 39,000. So,
what's with the rain delays?
I don't know, dude.
The lightning delays or whatever. This is freaking ridiculous. So. Here's the deal. We had just got to our seats, like getting going, had our drinks in hand, like
15 minutes from kick,
just ready to go. Everybody's out there. The teams go in, and then all of a sudden, Jeff Sharon, by the way.
Yep.
Ladies and gentlemen, and then so we were a little defiant. I will say we were defiant. First of all, we're not going anywhere. And then we went up to the cabana, but they were still trying to get us out of the cabana. And I told the guy, the security guard comes up in the blue shirt, and he's like, all right, I need you guys to leave completely. I'm like, no, we're not leaving completely. It said out of the bowl. Do you hear it? Here, and it played, and I'm like, there you go, out of the bowl. We're not in the bowl. We're in the cabana. I was like, dude, just give up because we're not going. Like, you're wasting your time even talking to us. because we're not going. Oh, and he couldn't do anything about it. But anyway, students. The students, none of them went freaking anywhere, and I love it because they shouldn't go anywhere. After all that, after all they go through to get into the stadium and get those seats, none of them left, and it was freaking awesome. So props to the freaking students. That was awesome. Awesome. You know what? Gus had a great analogy about this. Awesome analogy. In fact, I'm going to keep this clip because this is going to be one we're going to use over and over and over. But here's what Gus had to say about the delay.
Yeah, it was Groundhog Day. That's what I told our guys. Groundhog Day. And we were ready. I mean, I don't know. They said 20 minutes. So I was saying, yeah, whatever. I thought it'd be a little bit longer than that. But, hey, our guys didn't flinch. We just went out there and warmed up and kicked it off. But like I said, I really appreciate our fans sticking around. It would have been real easy what they went through last week to say, here we go again, and go home and try to watch it on some TV or radio.
Groundhog Day.
On some TV or some radio.
I love Gus. I'm a huge.
I thought he was going to have a quote about the Waffle House line or something like that.
No, yeah, but yeah, Groundhog Day and 20 minutes. Yeah, right. That was my favorite part about that.
You can feel it. Like, he's happy here, dude. He can say what he wants.
I know. He loves it.
It's not like Auburn where he just went up there and just was machine robotic. I love the fact, the energy that he has now.
All right, yeah. Speaking of energy, here's what he had to say about the game.
First of all, just really want to thank our fans. Another weather delay. At the first, would have been easy to go home. They were loud. They brought the juice tonight. It was very impressive. I know our players and coaches really appreciate that. You know, overall, we talked all week about, coming out and let's actually get better. And looking at it, I think we did get better as a team. We had 0 turnovers. The 8 consecutive drives we scored. I think we were pretty balanced. Did some good things. Defense, after probably the first 3 or 4 possessions started to settle down, they were keeping the ball away from us. The third downs, we're going to have to improve our third down defense. There's no doubt about that. But overall, I'm happy to have the win. A lot of teams around the country playing a lesser team goes out there and slops around and has an ugly effort. But I thought our guys did a good job. I just told them, too, that, we got a chance to play our 2s and our 3s. And when they went out there, they didn't slop around. I mean, they played good, clean football. That'll help us depth-wise, moving forward. So overall, very quality win, and glad to be 2-0.
All right, Bethune-Cookman now is a quality win. Not a quality loss, but a quality win.
What do they always say on the game notes? Win is better than loss.
Yeah. Well, that's definitely true. So the game, besides the delay, I think delayed the defense a little bit getting going, because it almost seemed like it was Groundhog Day for the defense as well.
Dude.
Getting started. And I had quite a bit of alcohol in me, and I yelled even louder.
You don't say.
Yeah, because of that. Yeah.
Well, let me ask you this. Speaking of defense, let's kind of jump into this. Defensive backs, right? It seemed to me, and I really want your take on this, having played FBS football as a defensive back.
Power 5 football, thank you.
Well, yes.
It wasn't. I'm just messing with you. It wasn't even a Power 5 at that point.
So the pre-dynastic Power 5 football.
I think that was before the Power 5.
It was well before the Power 5. That being said, you had BCS back then.
Yeah.
So at this point, when we're looking at this, a lot of the defensive backs, I know you can either be taught to play the ball or play the receiver, and we had 2. Corey Thornton had 2 pass interference calls, and there was a lot of stuff going on.
I know for a fact, because my coach is the defensive backs coach for UCF. My coach that I had that taught me how to play defensive back in college is the defensive back coach. I know that sounds crazy, but it is, and I've said that before on the show. David Gibbs. He was my coach. So I know for a fact that he is not coaching the kids to play like that, Corey Thornton. I guarantee it. And he's probably running a lot of laps. He's probably still running laps, honestly. or up downs or whatever. He's going to be doing a lot of them because that's just pure bad football.
Mm-hmm.
You have to look back at the ball. That is all the referees honestly care about in most of those situations. Because if the receiver's got hands going on you and you've got hands going on him and y'all are, as long as the receiver doesn't push off and cause offensive pass interference, you can do a lot of that stuff as long as both of you are doing it. But when the person that's defending does not look back at the freaking ball to at least know where the ball is, you're going to get pass interference every freaking time.
Because they're not trying to make a play on the ball.
Yeah, so I guarantee you.
I know that's the rule. I was just curious because there are a couple schools of thought, and I don't know what David Gibbs's philosophy was around that. So,
I guarantee you that is not the way he's teaching players to play. I guarantee it. Like, no question. It's ridiculous.
Well, the other thing that really got me going, especially early, but throughout the game, really, it seems like we are over pursuing. We're missing sacks. We haven't had any sacks yet because our ends are over pursuing. And, obviously tackling, I think everybody who watched the game could tell that the tackling was atrocious at the beginning of the game, as it was against Boise State, at the beginning of the game as well. That got better, but it just...
here's the thing with that. And I think, honestly... I hope, and we'll see next week. We'll see when we're on the road, and hopefully there's no rain delay or lightning delay on the road on Friday. I think that has something to do with it. I hope that has something to do with it. And I don't know why, and I don't know how or whatever, but for some reason I think that has something to do with it. They're just really slow starting. Because once they get going, once the entire defense gets going, and they're like, I don't know if they need to do a different warm-up, if they need to not do as much of a warm-up, maybe they're doing too much, maybe they're doing too little, maybe they're not doing the right things. Something is wrong with the way that they're coming out. I mean, we could have overlooked Bethune-Cookman a little bit, the defense. Could have, honestly. We could have. I don't know how you would overlook Boise, but and to really get that was just kind of bad luck that got that whole thing going, and a badly timed pass more than anything else by Dylan Gabriel last week. I don't know, something, and this may be part of our defensive coordinator, Travis Williams, being a new defensive coordinator. Maybe he's doing the wrong thing to get these guys warmed up and ready and going. It's something that can be fixed, though. And Gus Malzahn talks about third down being really what needs to be fixed.
Yeah, let's
If we can fix third down, here, I'll just play the clip.
Okay.
We just got to do better in third downs. If we'd have done a little better in third downs, I think we'd feel a little different. But we're stopping the run now, I'll tell you that. I mean, we're stopping the run, and that's a big factor moving forward.
All right. So, third down, obviously, he's concerned with, and he thinks that if he gets that fixed, this will all come together a lot better. And we definitely are stopping the run. I mean, my God, we're stopping the run.
24 yards.
Yeah, 44 yards completely.
Yeah.
In 2 games, we've only allowed 44 yards. Now, obviously, that's going to change. We're not going to. I mean, it'd be awesome if it stays, that low, 26 or whatever it is, 22. Yeah, 22 per game. If that stays, that will be freaking incredible, and that will, I'm sure, be an NCAA record. But I don't think that will stay. That number is obviously going to. I mean, obviously the number is going to go up, but what I'm saying is the average.
Well, I can tell you this. I mean, this week, 47% for BCU, which was higher than Boise, by the way, for third down conversions. We had 57%. We have continued our streak. Anything over 50% is phenomenal for third down conversions, right? For the defense, the goal would be somewhere in the teens to 20s as far as limiting the opposing offense. 47% is way too high. Now, that being said, a couple of those drives were penalties, right, that allowed those drives to continue. A couple of them were the PI penalties on third down and being aired out. So that definitely has something to do with it. But I agree 100%. It is
also, though, it's very, very easy to play down to your opponent. Mm-hmm. It is extremely easy to do. It should be coached out of you not to do that, but the coach can only go so far by making you understand and making you believe that. I think that has something to do with it. It's not just UCF, it's a lot of different teams. And then you get smacked in the mouth and you're like surprised. And I think I was surprised by Bethune-Cookman and the way they could move the ball. I was surprised completely. I was surprised by their quarterback. He played a good game.
Well, they had a good game plan. I mean, the reality was the way that we won last week, and we talk about this with Kyle a little bit, is just, we're throwing everything in the kitchen sink. We've got good edge rushers, and they're hitting contain and they're trying to get to QB.
I'm still not worried about the sack number.
No, that's not where I was going.
No, I know, but I mean, you said something about it earlier.
Yeah.
I'm not worried about that because I would rather hurry the quarterback, honestly, than sack the quarterback. I would rather hurry him and make him do something stupid rather than putting him on the ground.
Well, that works if your defensive backs are turning around looking for the ball. We missed a linebacker and defensive backs. Two interceptions we missed.
That's where I was going with that. Because if your defensive backs are playing well, then when you're hurrying them and making them do something stupid, then that's when you get interceptions, and that's when the whole thing freaking works.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, sacks are awesome, and everybody loves sacks, but it's not the one stat. It's not the most important stat. And my other former co-host used to rail on sacks, and in fact, he asked Big Cat this last press conference, "Oh, but the sacks," and I'm just like, what? It's not the most important thing. Big Cat is playing a hell of a season already, by the way.
Yep.
Yes, he hasn't got a sack yet. He'll get them. He'll get them, trust me. But it's not all about sacks. That's all I'm saying.
Well, listen, for next week, and I know we're still talking about BCU, but I'll say this. For next week, his goal has to be to keep contained because that's a running quarterback, and that's where he'll help us more than anything else.
He doesn't have any problem doing that.
If he can contain the edge, and thinking Cincinnati here, if he can contain the edge, that's what we were missing last year. Now,
I don't think we're missing that nearly as much.
Not this year.
Anymore.
No.
I mean, we've got that pretty...
And it'll be interesting if we get our other defensive end back. That would be...
I haven't heard anything about that situation.
We were told he was going to sit out this week again, so we'll see. Okay. I mean, he still has the student conduct board he has to deal with and everything else, so it'll be interesting to see. They're pretty tough.
Well, there's lots of kids that have
make
issues
a mistake.
In college.
Yep,
yeah,
I know.
And the way that things are these days, they should be a little easier, I believe, on him.
Well,
they're a little bit more liberal.
I hope for him he has that it happens soon because he was out. He had the injury last year and all that other stuff. And from what I've heard, everything from coming back from camp, he had a really, really good camp. So he's
a good kid. He just made a mistake. I mean, kids make mistakes. Adults make. You know how many adults make this freaking mistake that he made?
Many.
Lots and lots and lots. I mean. Luckily, knock on wood, I can say that I haven't, but I sure could have 1,000,000 times. So anyway, I hope we get him back. I think he would be a huge. Maltavo's doing a good job as well. So everybody out there is doing a good job as far as the defensive line goes. But it would be huge to get him back. Absolutely.
Well, and BCU's main, what they were trying to do is counter the us stacking the box essentially and having a pass rush by putting in a lot of 3-step drops and trying to get the ball out very quickly, and that means short, very, very short passes. And when you throw the house, your defensive backs, I keep hearing this, they're 5 yards off of the receiver and all this other stuff. more often than not, you're not going to push press man unless you're absolutely 100% sure that you're going to get to the quarterback, because if they get loose, that's a touchdown.
Yeah.
So they're going to be playing off, and if they're getting the ball out quick enough, that means slants and short gains across the field. And that's what you saw the whole time. What they were gaining, they weren't big bombs. They were just, hey, we're going to get 5, 6, 7 yards when we can. Now, your linebackers have to be aware of that in coverage, but there's not really much they can do when you're playing with that much space and covering that ground so quickly. So their job is to get open field tackles, make sure they get the tackle, and limit the amount of yards, and then fight another day with your defensive line. That's what you're seeing, folks. That's why they were able to move the ball down the field. The challenge is getting the defensive line in a position where they can either hurry the quarterback and get him out of rhythm and get him frustrated, or put him on the ground, whether it be before he releases the ball or afterwards. Because I can tell you that we got Boise quarterback's head. We may not have gotten the sacks, but we sure put him on the turf quite a bit.
Yeah, also something you need to remember about the defensive backs. This was their second real game,
right?
That they've played as a team together. They're going to get better. I just looked at the defensive notes in this post game note thing that UCF puts out. So this puts it in perspective a little bit. Dylan Lester had a career high 3 breakups and 4 tackles,
which is great.
Career high. Devontae Brown had a career high 2 breakups. Devad Wilson had a career high 6 tackles and 1 breakup. So there you go.
Quadric Bullard had 7 tackles, 6 of them solo.
Okay. Also, the Knights shut out Bethune-Cookman in the second and fourth quarters. So, I mean, there are positive things there, obviously, with that, and then still the rushing. I mean, that blows my mind that we're so good against the rush because we were so freaking horrible against it before.
The difference is the defensive tackles.
Yeah,
and
well,
that and
the
being
ends,
able to contain the
defensive
edge.
tackles and ends. Yeah,
Yep.
The defensive line in general is solid, like super solid, and it can get even more solid. Okay, let me see here. One of the things that I think a lot of us are worried about, besides the defensive back situation, would be Matt Lee going down.
Yeah, I saw that.
I'm glad I saw that too. I saw him kind of not get up real good after the play before he actually went down, and I kind of looking and I'm like, oh, that's not good. And then he went down. Here's what Coach had to say about Matt Lee.
He wasn't able to return, so I don't know what that'll be. I'll try to give you an update later in the week. I mean, he's one of our better football players, not just one of our better linemen. He's one of our better football players. So hopefully we'll get him back soon.
All right. Well, that doesn't sound real good.
Nope.
So our other, I don't even know who it was, to be honest with you. Who was our backup center?
Freshman.
Okay. Well, even better.
Yeah,
he played,
I don't even remember him.
He played pretty dang good well.
But he was a highly rated center. I just don't remember what his name was. He was a highly rated 3-star when we recruited him. He joined us last year.
Okay. Well, I'm sorry that I don't know everybody's name, but it happens. I can look on the roster here and try to find out. But he played a heck of a game. There were no snaps that went over anybody's heads and out of the back of the end zone or anything like that, or at their knees or their ankles or anything like that. So he did a very good job.
Yeah, when you're being thrown into a situation like that, especially as a freshman, the hardest thing for a center is he's the brains of your offensive line.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's...
So he's making checks, he's recognizing, he's pointing out.
He's just as important as every other player, if not more important.
Exactly.
So, yeah. I absolutely do not know who it was, though. I think it was 50. Was it 55 or?
I think it was 65.
65. That's Cole Schneider.
Nope, then it wasn't him.
It wasn't 65. I can guarantee that. I don't know. I don't know who it was, to be honest with you. I'd have to go back and look at a depth chart, which is really hard to find these days. A depth chart. It's the thing that is the most hard to find, I think, because they don't put it in the game notes like they used to. They may, but I think it's at the very end or something. Hold on. Okay, I went back and looked. Mike Lofton is his name. I apologize. I feel bad for not knowing his name, but it's only the second game of the season, and I really never wanted to even have to know the backup center's name. Mike Lofton, number 57, 6'2", 300 pounds, sophomore. So good for him. He did a good job, is what I was trying to say.
Yep.
So anyway, yeah, hopefully we get him back soon. One of the other things that blew my mind in this game was that 44-yard run by Dylan Gabriel. It stopped my heart almost, though, because I was really worried at that point when you're running around like he was out there. Here's what Gus had to say. It kind of stopped Gus's heart, I think, too.
I was saying get down. That's what I was saying. I was yelling, get down, but that was an unbelievable run. I mean, it's been a while since I've seen one of those. I told him afterwards, last time I saw one of those, I was coaching Cam Newton. And so that was an impressive run.
Those aren't horrible. That's not a horrible person to be compared with, though.
No, it's not.
I mean, it's not bad. So, I mean, is he on an NFL team anymore? Did somebody pick him up?
I think he's done.
Oh, okay. Well, anyway, he was the MVP of the NFL a couple of years ago. So, still, that's not a bad.
He left North Carolina. I think he did get picked up, but I thought he got injured. I don't know if he made a roster or not right now.
No, he was at the Patriots.
Yeah,
and then the Patriots cut him. I don't know where he's at, but anyway, still, that's. I mean,
Yeah, Dylan had
Gus
a big game.
Coached him. So.
I mean, we had another 600-yard plus game, right? I mean, when you...
I'm glad that he took a little bit easier on Bowser and didn't have to run him 33 times. I would much rather, the 12 or whatever, even though like I've said, I like to see a running back used and put out there and used, and I think you'll see him a little bit more this next week. I don't think you needed to run him 33 times against Bethune-Cookman.
If we did, we'd have bigger problems.
Right. I think you'll see him used a lot more at Louisville.
671 yards, 381 passing, 290 yards rushing, folks.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, those are huge numbers.
And we're averaging like 612 or something like that, I think is what it was.
Yeah, which puts us up there.
Oh, yeah, we have to be. And we weren't sure. Remember when we first started talking about what's the Gus Malzahn offense going to look like?
Right.
Now we know.
Is it going to be slower, and because of that we're going to see less yards? Or I think we're averaging 49.
I remember thinking that we weren't going to see that many yards, but I'm wrong. 622 is what we're averaging in 2 games.
And I think it's like, 47 or 49 points per game?
You'd have to ask something. 49.5.
There you go.
Points per game, and our opponent's 22.5.
Right where we've been, folks. Now, obviously, this week skewed it a little bit, but
we've scored 99 points this season so far.
That's phenomenal.
99.
Mr. Obarski went 9 for 9.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. That's a deal too. That was a. Where is that? Because that was some kind of
a record.
It tied a record, I believe. Here, yeah, Daniel Arbarski made a career high 9 extra points. His previous best was 8 back November 27th of 2020, and it was the most for a night since Dylan Barnes, October 26th, 2019.
And he didn't kick any out of bounds.
Yeah, he's gotten that figured out, it looks like.
Yeah,
hopefully.
He keeps kicking into the back of the end zone.
Knock on wood. I'm knocking on wood.
We both are.
Yeah. We still have not we've still not kicked a field goal.
Nope.
Which is pretty amazing as well.
4 for 4 on 4th down, folks.
Yeah. That's kind of interesting. Not a stat that I would have expected.
That tells me...
Which is fine, though.
Yeah, that tells me Gus doesn't have a lot of confidence in his kicking game.
Well, in his kicking game.
Yep.
In Obarski's, but we still have not seen our other guy The guy with two first names.
Yeah, the transfer.
Riker Casey or
Yeah.
Casey Riker.
Riker
I can
Casey.
never. Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Riker Casey. I can't wait to see him. Local kid from New Smyrna Beach. So looking forward to that. I know that he is still injured. So
I mean, we dropped
pretty
a
sure that's
Scully
why.
on a kicker this year.
Yeah.
So
He's
that
worth
tells
it.
you what you
I
think.
think he's worth it. From what I've heard, I mean, he's worth it. So we'll see him at some point, I'm sure. I don't know where his injury status is at this point, but obviously he wasn't out there playing. So hopefully maybe this week we'll see him. All right. We should probably get to Kyle because we're getting way down in this show. And I really don't want this one to be like 3 hours long because
Okay.
you have to drive.
I do.
All right. Here we go. Kyle Israel. If you haven't figured it out yet, I love Tijuana Flats. I would love them even if they weren't a partner with us on the Knightline Sports Network. They have all kinds of great Tex-Mex food, and it's fresh, by the way. Made to order burritos, tacos, enchiladas, chimichangas, quesadillas, bowls, nachos, and taco salads. And if you haven't tried the queso, you are completely missing out. It is the best queso that I've ever had in my life. Absolutely hands down. And the sauce bar that they have, everything from wild to mild in there. Absolutely awesome, awesome stuff. Not only do I love the food at Tijuana Flats, but I love the company, a UCF-born company. And they give back to the community with the Justin Queso Foundation. So head to your local Tijuana Flats. Tex-Mex for everyone. Hey Jeep Wrangler owners, have you ever sat in your office at work and watched the rain just pour into your Jeep because the weatherman said that there was a 0 chance of rain? Or you put your doors back on because there was a 100% chance and then not a drop of rain fell? Well, there's a company out there that can help take the worry away and give you the peace of mind to be without your doors. The company's called Life Without Doors. They make waterproof rain curtains and dash covers for Wranglers. Life Without Doors is there to help make the decision to leave the doors at home an easy one. Find out more at lifewithoutdoors.com.
Spice up your company with homemade marketing services from Tasty Gravy Creative. Tasty Gravy serves up a menu of budget-friendly marketing, graphic design, and public relations services customized to your specific goals. Co-owned by a UCF graduate, Tasty Gravy can help refresh your brand, strengthen your online presence, or reinforce your company's message. Contact Tasty Gravy for help with your website, social media, marketing, advertising materials, and more. Visit tastygravy.com.
All right, please welcome back in Kyle Israel. Good to talk to you after another win, Kyle.
Always great to talk to you guys after a win. A win is a win is a win, despite who you play. So we got that last night, which means we're now 2-0. So that's where we want to be right now.
And that's better than 1-0.
Definitely.
I wanted to talk to you a little bit first because I know that the Big 12 thing is a very big deal to you. You wrote a nice thing on Facebook the other day. But I wanted to give you the opportunity to talk a little bit about that besides the game.
Yeah, so I think that it could start in a lot of different directions. But, when we made that transition and have this opportunity now to be in the Big 12, it took me all the way back to my recruiting process. And at the time, I was choosing between Florida State, Penn State, and UCF, really. And so, to be honest, it was an unpopular decision for me to choose to go to UCF, kind of in my network and my circle of friends at school, etc. But there was a reason that I did that, and that was really Coach O'Leary's painting of this vision of the future and speaking all the time about building a foundation and the value in being a part of that, and the element of being able to see that unfold over time into the future. And when I went into his office one day, right before signing day, he said, "I'm going to have a stadium on this campus in 10 years. And in 10 years from now, you'll come back and be a part of the christening of the stadium." And someday UCF's going to be playing on television every single week. And these are the things that you're going to help lay the foundation for and can be proud of in the future. And obviously we opened the stadium within 3 years. But I think this move to the Big 12 conference, the resources that's going to provide UCF, not just monetarily and the $20+ million, but people picking up the phone, people listening, corporations being more intrigued in partnering with the university and supporting the university because of the exposure, because of what that looks like when you've ascended to a conference like that. And it just took me all the way back to Coach O'Leary and him making that promise to me that spoke a lot, and that was something that I wanted to be a part of. And I think the other day, it was a nice moment in time to kind of sit and reflect and say, man, that actually happened. And it's been an up and down ride, to say the least, but getting into this conference allows us to have the resources to be the program that we always thought we were capable of being. And there are a lot of people that put a lot of hard work and time and blood, sweat, and tears, and not just on the field, but in the administration, alumni, fans, supporters, a lot of, financial resources, that people invest because they love this program. And so I was just really happy that everybody kind of collectively got to see this come to fruition together. And it was just a nice moment to sit back and think of how far we've come.
Yeah, the crazy thing is all those things that George O'Leary said are now coming true. I mean, it's amazing, to be honest with you. So I'm sure that you didn't believe all those things in the beginning, but now you see that they've all come to fruition, basically.
There's no doubt about it. And I'll just go back to one quick story. I mean, where we were as a program in 2004, we didn't have an indoor practice facility. And so we had something like 10 or 11 practices prior to going up and playing Wisconsin on the road. And we never had a shot at winning that game, not because we didn't think we could win the game or because we weren't talented enough to find a way to win, but we simply only had 10 practices prior to the game. And it's hard to go be successful that way. And so you think of what resources, what facilities, those types of things do for a program. It determined, the ability to at least be in the game compared to not really having a shot because you hadn't been able to practice. And those are the types of things that we were managing back then. And prior to me, we were even in a totally different place. So kudos to the guys that really helped build this program from the late 70s all the way to the 2000s when we started to get some resources. But what we've eclipsed now will be on a whole nother level.
Yeah, awesome. Roger, you got something to start out with?
I mean, just a quick transition, but from a Big 12 perspective, I will say this. Kyle, you went to the same high school that I did. We both graduated from the same high school. You were a few years younger than me. But I remember coming out and my experience at UCF, it was at that time the school that a lot of people went to either because they wanted to stay home or they couldn't get into UF or FSU, or they wanted the engineering program, which is why I chose UCF. At the end of the day, the work that you guys have done as athletes, as student athletes, and the folks in administration and everything, and us as fans, and in expanding the brand and monetary support, has gotten, to me, UCF as a destination place, and with the Big 12 now proves that we will continue to be that. But as a student athlete, you've got to be extremely proud to have been a part of bringing that exposure to the university, and I for one know as a former athlete that how much time, effort, and work goes into that. So just thank you for doing that, and let's talk about the BCU game and kind of transition to that. So the first thing that kind of jumped out to me that that we've seen Gus do really successfully is change speeds, right? So as a quarterback and a former quarterback, how do you adjust to those types of changes, and does it throw your rhythm off, or how do you account for that?
Well, to be quite candid, it's only been later in my career, in my late 20s in Europe, where I actually played in an offense where the tempo was fluctuating at a regular pace. And I think it can be a very beneficial thing. I think it allows you to move the pace of the ball when you feel like you have your foot on their throat. Like, often you're having success in a drive, and if you're a team that huddles up and then breaks the huddle and you get to the line of scrimmage at 14 seconds, you're not leveraging that momentum that you may have been building throughout the course of a drive. And often you want to. You can feel it. You can taste we've got our foot on their throat. And so when you do have an offense that's able to change speeds, sometimes go fast, sometimes slow down to a quarterback, that's a great advantage to have. And I think that it doesn't really impact, if you have the right frame of mind around it, it becomes a tool. And it doesn't have to be something you have to manage or deal with. It's something that you're leveraging. And so I think that being able to do that is a benefit to the quarterback. And I think that it's probably easier than most people believe, because it allows you to circumstantially get into whatever the course or flow of the game is.
All right, 2 weeks into Gus Malzahn's coaching career at UCF, and 1,244 yards out of that offense. 699 of it passing, 545 of it rushing. What's your take just so far on the efficiency and just what you think about Gus's offense and how he's running it here?
Well, I think that it's really great to see him as a play caller. That's number one. And I think that he's at his best when he is calling plays. I think he's more into the game. I think the team is more engaged with him. And he's a guy that sets the tone to some extent, and he wants to set the tone. So I think that's a benefit for him to be calling plays. Secondly, we really are doing a good job, despite the questions going into the season, of establishing a running game and a balanced running game. Dylan's been a part of that. Bowser's been a part of that. We've had some other guys that have added value there. And we've been able to start getting to a good rhythm of throwing the football. I think that's a pretty balanced offense. It's a ton of yards. It really is. It's against a Boise team that is a pretty good team, and you had to come back in that game. And then against BCU, I don't know how much you take away from the game statistically, but I think it's setting us up to go in on the road up at Louisville with, number one, in that scenario, most importantly, confidence. And number two, Louisville's got to be able to try and make us one-dimensional to stop us, and we've shown that if you're going to force us to run the ball, we're capable of doing that. If you're going to try and force us to throw the football, we're capable of doing that. And I think that's the place that you want to be when you go into a hostile environment on the road with a team that has athleticism, is to be very balanced. And so I think Coach Malzahn's done a great job of installing the offense, and the guys have taken to it well. And it'll be interesting to see how it is in the flow of a typical game. Being down 21 points in the first quarter is atypical.
Yeah.
So you're seeing a different style, and playing against Bethune-Cookman is just an atypical environment. So it'll be interesting to see how the offense looks on Friday night.
Exactly, yeah. 90 attempts rushing, 81 attempts passing. So very balanced. Very balanced. But lots of yards, 622, averaging 622 per game. And that's impressive. The other thing that's impressive, though, is the defense, certain parts of the defense. Rushing defense. This is crazy. This is the craziest thing I've ever seen, to be honest with you. Rushing defense. I don't know if you're aware, but 44 yards total is what these two teams have rushed against us for. 44 yards.
You're gonna win most football games if you're able to hold a team to this type of rushing. Like, you're gonna win most of the games you ever play,
right,
if your defense is stopping the run. And I think it's another confidence element. It's a strong suit in our defense, and I think that looking into next week, taking what you can from Bethune, Louisville's a team that if you make them one-dimensional, they're going to make mistakes. Quarterback's going to throw interceptions. They're going to force football. So our best advantage next week is being able to run the ball and stop the run, at least early in the game, and we're setting up to be able to do that. But the stat is staggering, and it's simply ridiculous.
I know, yeah. And it won't last like that, obviously. We know that that's not going to last once we play better teams, but still. 22 yards average for two teams against us is insane. So
it's a great stat to see this. Yeah, I don't want to cut you off, but it's a great stat to see this early in the season, and especially in this day in college football with how practice is less physical, less tackling.
Right.
So stopping the run can take some time to adjust to, and us doing that out of the gate, I think, is a great sign.
Well, you've seen some missed tackles. We certainly saw a few this week as well.
Yeah.
But, when we're talking about the Cardinals, one of the things that we've done really, really well is a pass rush and QB hurries. We had a slew, I think it was 11 tackles for a loss in the first game, only 5 this game. But as a quarterback and sitting in the back, the Cardinals quarterback is a running quarterback who throws short passes well and doesn't do well with the deep ball. If we take away the deep ball and we rush the quarterback, what are the types of things that you expect to see out of the Cardinals if we, if we can contain the edge? What should we expect from that quarterback in the short game?
Well, I think that, if we don't tackle in the defensive secondary, we're going to see him trying to get the ball out of his hand. How do you defend a great pass rush and a guy like Big Cat is you get rid of the football and you don't sit in the pocket. And so it's going to be up on our defense. It's going to be on our defensive backs and outside linebackers to really do a good job on Friday night of tackling in space because Louisville's going to try to find ways to get short catches, short routes, get the football out of his hands and make a play after. And so we're going to have to be able to tackle in space. And I think that they have the type of dynamic athletes that, Boise had really who I would consider one as a receiver. Louisville's going to have some guys that can go down the field, that have speed, that can make plays, that can go up for the football. And you got to try to force them to make mistakes. So, what can our secondary do in the tackling element, and especially in that, 1 to 10 yard depth range of routes? Can we come up and make that? Because if they're able to start hitting those, that's going to open up deeper plays and shots down the field. But if we're able to force them into short throws and tackle where they catch the football, I think they'll start to panic some.
All right, back to this game, though, against Bethune-Cookman. I know that it's not the most exciting thing to talk about, but 23 of 36 for 312 yards, 2 touchdowns, only sacked 1 time for Dylan Gabriel. What did you think of his performance? And we also got to see 4 quarterbacks total in this game because we were ahead so far and actually got everybody pretty much in there for this one, which is awesome.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest element. I think Dylan was consistent. He made some throws. He made some plays. There's a few that he probably want to have back, but really happy with what I saw with Dylan, and I think he'll continue to progress and get better. I think that it's always awesome when you get 4 guys at the quarterback. I've never seen a game, actually. I can't remember a game at UCF where we had 4 quarterbacks play, but
I think we had really one with 3, but it wasn't a good thing. It was
yeah. This is a good thing. This is definitely a good thing.
It was when I think it was George O'Leary. It was that last season, I believe, where
with Nick Patty and what was that kid from Texas?
Yeah, the tall guy. But it was 3 or 4 guys because they were all throwing interceptions, and yeah, it was horrible.
It's not a good thing. No, but it's great to get those guys in. Gatewood looks like a monster. It was interesting for me because I hadn't seen a number 7 at quarterback at UCF. I can't think of anybody since I left. So that was just a quick adaptation for me personally. But I think it was great to see, all those guys get reps. You kind of see how that, depth chart is unfolding. Looks like Quadri's gone to the 4th position. Credit to him for just being such a great teammate and staying true to UCF. I mean, I think that, I give him definitely a hats off for what seems to be a pretty positive attitude in this circumstance where you have a guy coming in who's highly recruited, and then, we have a freshman who's playing well. So it was good to see that I think those reps are critical. I remember, unfortunately, I hated it, but in 2005, we were playing Southern Miss, and obviously we had a pretty good season in 2005, and we were getting blown out. And I was trying to get a red shirt, so I was doing everything I could unless I needed to start a game or come in for an injured Stephen Moffitt, like not to play. I wanted to keep my red shirt coming off a broken leg. And we were down by 20-plus points, and Coach O'Leary put me in for the game and burned my red shirt. And, afterwards I mentioned that it was a bit frustrating, and he said that we needed to be prepared. If Stephen went down, there's a chance we can make the conference championship, and I wanted to get you reps, etc. And I begrudgingly kind of shook my head and definitely understood. And when you can get guys reps like that, like we did last night, God forbid something happens to Dylan, but for us to be prepared and see what we have next, because that's something we don't really know. This is a great type of game to be able to get a little bit more film on these guys to figure out who's going to be that true backup if Dylan were to go down in the course of the game.
Right. Mikey Keene looked pretty good. 4 of 7 for 55, and that touchdown was an impressive throw, honestly.
He's been impressive.
Yeah, so far. We've only seen him throw the ball 7 times, but still. The one was a laser, though, that he threw for the touchdown. So that was good. Roger, go ahead.
Yeah, for me, the next thing that was a takeaway and a little surprise for me was the O-line. Early on, the Bethune-Cookman was getting a fair amount of pressure on Dylan. In fact, it resulted in a sack. And we saw that kind of with Boise for a while, and they tightened up and made adjustments. Now, I know Dylan's doing more checks at the line and calling protections and stuff like that. Is that a byproduct of Dylan just not picking that up, or is something else going on?
It's hard to tell. It's really hard to tell. You could chalk it up to effort. You could chalk it up to an opponent. You could chalk it up to playing down to an opponent. I think 2 weeks in a row, we knew our offensive line was going to have to continue to get better. We have some veteran guys up there that have a lot of playing experience. But it's a different system. And so it's really hard to tell without knowing the game plan and how we're pushing protection. If that's on Dylan or who that's on. I don't anticipate that it's on Dylan. But our guys got to continue to get better there. They got to continue to get stronger. The interior line looking into the future in a new conference is going to be a critical part of our team. I think we've got some great stout guys on the defensive line this season. But our interior linemen, we're going to go up and face some really, really big boys in the Big 12. And so we're going to have to continue to constantly improve there. But for now, it's hard to tell, Roger. It really is from the naked eye perspective.
What did you think of Dylan's 44-yard run?
Well, I think it just goes to show that that's something that he wants to add to his game, an element that he wants to add to his game. I kind of have a blank canvas as far as my thought of Dylan as a runner. And, the canvas is starting to get filled in a little bit as a guy that can make plays for us. And, it's hard to get a 44-yard run as a quarterback. It really is.
He made that one about 150 yards, really.
Run all over the place.
He ran around in a few loops.
Yeah.
But you like seeing it because there are going to be games where plays like that can win it or lose it for us, and I'm glad that he's confident enough to do that, and that the coaching staff is kind of giving him the comfort to pull it down and run when he needs to.
I think he may have gotten an earful from Coach Malzahn when he came off the field on that one, though, because even in the press conference, I was just telling him to get down. So, I couldn't read his lips because he was of the position of the camera, but I know that he was kind of like, oh, okay, So I don't think Malzahn was very happy with him doing it. To score a touchdown, healthy. It's great. But, yeah, we need to keep him healthy. And it was obviously exciting for everyone. So I'll take that. But besides that.
Well, especially in a game like this, right? You don't want to get your starting quarterback hurt on some freak play because he's out there, trying to do his thing. What's interesting to me with him is just his attitude seems to have completely changed now with this. You see him running with confidence. You see him out there. He's like trying to bowl people over. He's getting hit in the ear hole of his helmet and popping up and whatever. It's kind of a little bit, just the look in his eye and his body language is almost Bortles-esque when it comes to that kind of stuff. So Dylan, keep sliding. You're doing much better this year. Explain, talk a little bit about, if you would, the motions before the snap. There's a lot more movement. It's, Frost based part of his offense off of Malzahn's. He used a lot more 21 personnel than Malzahn is doing, but there's a lot of movement back there. So can you kind of talk us through a little bit about what the purpose of that is?
Well, at a high level, the purpose of that obviously is to keep the defense off balance and guessing. And you can really make a lot of different you can run a lot of different formations and motions and still be running a small set of plays, and they look completely different. And that can wear defense out mentally. So I think that, we have a bunch of different ways to get similar plays ran with different looks. And, think about it. I mean, if your job is to evaluate a team, right, like if that's what you go to work and do, and break down film and put all of the little tiny data points that it takes to kind of build a film of a team, first down, second down, third and long, all these things that coaches do to kind of get context of what a team's trying to do against them or what they did in the game, it becomes extremely belaboring and extremely challenging to account for all these different formations and motions and pre-snap movements. So that's one of the big things. It's a coaching advantage. You're wearing out the mental brain bank that the other coach has in evaluating your team. Secondly, in real time on the field, when you're accounting for, when you're a linebacker and you're watching a team bring somebody in motion, you're in real time having to think about, okay, I know what the tendency is in that set, and now I'm seeing this change to a new set. Okay, what's in the ball snapped? And so it literally gets the defense off balance, but it's really a mental thing that translates to a couple inches here or there, a guy's not being in position. And lastly, it really gives the quarterback an advantage at the line of scrimmage. When you're bringing in motions, and, Tom Brady has done it brilliantly forever, and Byron Leftwich is doing a great job with the Bucs of, having guys come in motion so Tom can get a read. If you know what you're looking for as a quarterback and you're trying to tip or get some tips pre-snap of what this defense is trying to do, they have to declare that when guys come in motion. It's very hard to change coverages once one of your players is already tracking a guy on the offense that's moving across the field. And so it's a little bit of a cheat code for Dylan to get a better idea of, is this man, is this zone? And once you decide that, it's okay. And then where are the weaknesses in these particular defenses? And I think all of that combined makes it a very unique style. But let's not forget, as much as you have to coach on defense to make sure you account for them, the offense has to be completely in sync and disciplined to be able to set up in one formation, move to another formation, bring another guy back in motion. That all has to be very coordinated. And so to see us even doing that successfully without penalties and things of that nature is awesome.
All righty, Kyle, thank you very much. We know you got to get going, so if you don't have anything more to add, I know you're busy, so we only have limited time, man. We will talk to you next week, though. Thank you very much. Different opponent for sure coming up with the Louisville, whatever they are.
Cardinals. Different opponent. It'll be an exciting game, national television. I think our guys will be up for it. It'll be another early season test to see where we are against an opponent that has some skill on the field. So I'm looking forward to it, and certainly hope that you guys and Knight Nation has a great week.
All right, man. You too. We'll talk to you later. All right. Good to talk to Kyle again, as always. Love that he is on here with us again for I don't even know how many years he's been doing it with us, but it's a lot. It's a lot.
I'd say at least, 5?
No, it's more than that, I think.
6?
I don't know. I think we started this in 2014. So it's been a while.
I think it's been longer than that.
I don't know. Maybe it was 13. I don't remember.
I don't remember.
I don't remember.
It was so long ago, I don't remember.
I seriously don't remember. It was July something of, I thought it was 2014. Yep. Episode 1, 6/17/2014.
Wow.
I believe is correct. Yes. Yep. That's it. 6/17/2014.
And for those of you that don't know, you hear the episode number 263. That's not the only content that was put out.
Yeah, tons of stuff. Like 300 or 400 and something. I don't even remember. You can see it if you go to Spreaker, because everything is on there, and then so it's separated by shows. I think on there. Yeah. Okay. Whatever. Still, yeah. Go ahead. Talk about you wanted to talk about Louisville a little bit.
Yeah, just a real quick preview. For those of you that have not.
Ooh, wow, 7 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I thought it'd only been like 5 years.
No.
I calculated it.
Yeah.
I had to get a calculator out. I'm not good at math. 7 years.
Yeah, dude.
Wow, I need to retire. Anyway.
Not yet. That being said, we can't pay for your Social Security check yet. I don't think we ever will, but, whatever. Running QB. So a couple of things to know about the Cards. They have a running QB. He is good with the underneath stuff, not so good with the long ball. So expect that we're going to try to stack the box with our defensive line and contain the edge, which we've been talking about, and keep everything underneath and then keep everything in front of us. That's the goal with them. We'll probably have our nickel spy, which has been Mr. Bryson Armstrong. However, he's had some challenges in coverage the last couple of weeks, but he's really strong on run support. So I imagine they'll probably keep him in and just pretty much dedicate him to spy. And then the big thing we need to worry about, you've heard me talk about it a few times this episode, is over pursuit. We're getting to the quarterback. We're getting to the quarterback quickly, but we need to make sure that we're slowing down to make sure we're containing the quarterback and or running back, depending on how they're going to play this, so that we don't leave the edges undefended. They are 1-1 this season. Most recently, they played Eastern Kentucky and won 30-3, which isn't saying much. Their defense was expected to be stronger this year, but they lost a lot of talent last year, and were expected to have some depth come up through the ranks and just have not performed as well. So our offense should be clicking. Specifically, their defensive backs have not been as strong as they were expecting. To me, the key to the game will be containing their QB and maintaining the edge. So this is a good tune-up for Cincinnati-esque type game. This will allow the defense to see that type of quarterback, hopefully create some tape and some adjustments for T-Will so that he's playing against that. And the linebackers, they have to do well recognizing what they're seeing in front of them and staying home. I think the defensive tackles will take care of the run for the most part. If they stay home and protect the underneath, I think we'll be in good shape.
All right, the line right now is minus 7.5. Earlier when we were doing the radio show, it was 8. So something has happened, I don't know what, to make that go a little bit differently.
Bettors are putting more money on the other side.
Yeah, and the over-under is 69.
Wow.
So, yeah, there's going to be some points scored, it sounds like. So, good. All right, 7.5. It was all the way at 9.5 at one point for us, but it has gone up and down and back and forth, and who knows what it will be.
Just remember, it's always handicap 3 points for the home team.
Yeah.
So really, that 7.5 is not 7.5; it's 10.5.
Right. So yeah, and the prediction for the thing that I like, what is it? What do they call it? The matchup predictor, football power index, 62.1% chance to win. We have 37.9 for them. So I'll take it.
All right, Mr. Yoda.
And I will. I'll take
62.5%.
Put some money on that. Put some money on the over there too.
Well, I mean, you'll be there, so we know you'll will them to win no matter what.
Yeah, I wonder if there's casinos in Louisville.
I don't know about the Kentucky side.
Yeah, I think there is on the Derby. You can bet on sports, obviously.
Yeah, that's true.
So maybe there's a little sports betting place.
I'm pretty sure there's lots of them.
All righty. Well, good. We'll put some money on that. All right, so I think what we have is Tijuana Flats Hot Take of the Week and News and Notes left. So let's get to that.
In addition to UCF's romp over Bethune-Cookman, here's how the rest of the scoreboard shaped up in the American. East Carolina hosted South Carolina. The upset bid falls short, though, 20-17. Tulsa tried to upset Oklahoma State, but they came up short, 28-23. The Gators roll over South Florida, 42-20. Tulane runs over Oregon State, 69-20. They rushed for almost 300 yards in that one. Temple, a big win over Akron, 45-24. Cincinnati, the 7th-ranked team in the country, easily over Murray State, 42-7. Navy and Air Force played in a 9/11 remembrance game, and the midshipmen fall 23-3, and they fired their offensive coordinator after the game. Houston retains the Bayou Bucket with a 44-7 win over Rice. Memphis had to outslug Arkansas State 55-50. True freshman Seth Hennigan threw 5 touchdown passes, 3 to Calvin Austin III, who had a career night with 239 yards, and SMU down North Texas 35-12. I'm Jeff Allen. We'll recap Week 2, get you set for Week 3 on this week's AAC Report only on the Knightline Sports Network.
Welcome to the Tijuana Flats Hot Take of the Week. Visit TijuanaFlats.com for takeout or delivery, or visit your local Tijuana Flats. Tex-Mex for everyone. All right, as you know, we have transitioned our Tijuana Flats Hot Take of the Week into our score predictions. So, Roger, do you want to go ahead and get yours out there?
Yeah, I guess since I didn't win last week, I did win the week before. But
do we have the results? Ben had the results. Do you have them or not?
I don't, but you definitely were closest with a 63-7 or 62-7 score.
I said 62-7, yeah.
Right, and I was at 52-14. So you definitely won that one. So I guess that was truly a hot take last week for me because I was off. So for this week's Tijuana Flats Hot Take of the Week, I hope I do a little bit better. We did not look at the handicaps before we made these predictions. And my prediction was 38-28 cards, or cards losing to UCF. Ben, he had, and it was funny because I made him go first, but I showed him my computer screen afterwards. He had 38-27, and Andrew?
42-24 is what I'm going to say. And in fact, I might change that. No, it's what I said on the radio show. I can't change it. I think we're going to score more than that, though.
I almost said, and I told you this on the radio show, 42-28. That was my initial gut reaction.
I'm gonna say right now that my official prediction pick is 42-24, but I think we're gonna score more than that. I do.
It'd be great.
So should have gone 52-24. I think we're gonna. I mean, if you look at the over under, it's high. The line is.
If it's 10.5 points, mine's pretty close and in line because I'm right at 10 points.
Right, but I mean the
about the 69 for the interim.
The spread, yeah. All right. Well, we shall see. We shall see. That's the fun part. We're just playing games. It's nothing serious. We're not betting any money, although you can, obviously. Okay, news and notes. And now, news and notes from the world of UCF sports. All right, number 17, UCF women's soccer played number 2, North Carolina, for 3 minutes today and had their own lightning delay, and the game was canceled. But UNC was up 1-0, but it's a no contest, so only 3 minutes. They've scored 3 minutes in.
That was lightning quick.
Yeah, it was lightning quick. I need to get a little drum roll thing.
I didn't even think about that. That's my dad joke of the week.
Was good. It was lightning quick.
All right, UCF women's volleyball, or UCF volleyball, since we don't have a men's team, had a great weekend in defeating a very good Florida Gulf Coast team 3-1 and FSU 3-2. However, they ended the weekend falling 3-2 to Georgia in a tough battle. McKenna Melville was named the tournament MVP.
All right, UCF men's soccer defeated Florida Gulf Coast University 6-2 and celebrated back-to-back American Conference championships last night at the football game. They were introduced and all that stuff, so awesome.
Couple of good teams.
Yeah, well, we'll have to see what happens with the men's soccer team like we were talking about earlier in the show. I'm sure something good will happen and they'll get in a good conference. Hopefully one of these days. I don't know, maybe the Big 12 will get men's soccer into it. I don't know. They've got a bunch of other sports. They got wrestling. Maybe we can get wrestling back. Alrighty, this has been Knightline 263. I'm Andrew Phegley.
And I'm Roger Phipps. Go Knights!
Charge on.
UCF, charge on to the field. With our spirits, we'll never yield. Black and gold charge right through the line. Victory is our cry.